him to Detroit.
No! No, not Detroit! No!
What day is it? Monday? Oh, Monday!
Monday, Monday, so good to me.
Hey, it's Monday.
Medical.
Monday.
Changes could be coming to Michigan's marijuana law. A new set of bills now being heard in Lansing.
Marijuana is not a drug.
And the bills would have major implications to small medical growers known as caregivers.
That's some heavy shit, man.
Small pot farmers in California say the state is not standing by its promise to protect.
Big companies were supposed to be limited, but some have stacked hundreds of licenses.
Stop hitting me so hard.
Created a cartel, essentially.
You have an industry allowing for businesses to operate like cartels.
But it's a Monday.
Harm has been done by the fact that we didn't legalize it back then.
Well, I don't know if there's any harm that's been done.
There was people getting arrested, there were people getting thrown in jail. I mean, that counts, doesn't it?
What kind of joint is this, man?
Smoking marijuana all in public. You would think that shit was legal. We the Pistons in the 899. Oh, bad boy.
It's just another medical.
And welcome Medical Mondays, y'all. This is y'all with the most THC in his motherfucking bloodstream, BERG. Of course, I got my returning panelists with us, Adam L. Brook, aka Mr. Hash Bash himself.
What's happening? Hope you're doing well out there.
Oh yeah, shout out to everybody already tuned in. You could hit that like and subscribe if you haven't already. And before we get into anything, I want to give a huge shout out to all of our awesome sponsors. Huge shout out to Native Made 313, Michigan Turf Farms, Nug Abduction Extracts, Tiki Madman, SOB Labs, and Tree Street Packaging. Boom.
Boom.
And of course, we always want to stress the fact if your state has a medical marijuana program, go out and get that card, yo. One of the awesome people you can hit up is Detroit Certification Center. You can get at them at Detroit Cert Center on social media, DetroitCertCenter.com, or give them a call or text 248-275-6707. Make sure you tell them that Medical Mondays sent you. I'm sure they'll hook you up. But yeah, I just got my card renewed the other day. Well, last week. So I should be getting my updated one in a week or two, hopefully.
Yeah, remember how long it used to take when they first started doing it?
I was surprised because like mine took it was like a month.
Right.
But I got mine before everybody else that I went and got my card with. But there's plenty of other people you can hit up for your card as well. We got Michael Dewey up north. We got Pure West out west, GC3, Vehicle City Social, Michigan Weedsters. The list goes on and on, y'all. So stop making excuses. Get that card. It benefits you in more ways than one. And it lets these politicians know that we're still here, man. So shout out to Blue Brat and Prop One in the chat. What up, though? I haven't posted on Instagram yet, but yeah, I know Dog Catcher, he just got his cards renewed too. So shout out to Catcher for hitting up Detroit Cert Center.
There you go.
Hell yeah. Dog Catcher Farm says we got Wheezy. Hell yeah, Dr. Wheezy and the Heezy.
Wheezy's the best.
Also, I want to remind everybody out there, November 24th, there's going to be another give back. If any vendors want to tap in, holler at Nuggeduction or Native Made 313 Backup. I want to say it is, or it might be Native Made 313_2. But that's JSH Enterprises. Shout out to JSH Enterprises as well as Nuggeduction for putting on these awesome events. No details yet, but I want to say it might be some kind of food drive. But stay tuned on Instagram as well as Medical Mondays, and we'll keep you in the know about the Give Back event.
And I'll be there. Unless I don't come back.
Oh yeah,
which is always an option.
Yeah, our boy Adam's going to Amsterdam again next week.
Yeah.
So how long are you staying out there?
I got a place till the 20th. And that's always the problem, is a place to stay.
Yeah. Yeah, because didn't you tell me something about that you can't stay somewhere for a longer period of time? Uh-oh, something's going on.
No, we're cool. The problem,
like you can't stay at one spot.
No, the problem. No.
Or you can't.
The problem is they can't Airbnb for more than 60 days a year.
Oh,
so when you call up and you get these Airbnbs you see online and you hit them up and you're like, hey, I want to come for the month of November. What ends up happening is you break the Airbnb rules and you talk outside of Airbnb and you just make that deal. But Holland's an odd place, man. Your neighbors aren't necessarily your cool neighbors. So people are afraid of getting turned in for all kinds of shit, breaking the rules. And the Airbnb thing has been a problem. Plus,
breaking the law.
Once they started to limit that ability, prices started to go up. And, I got lucky this time. A place I stayed, apartment I use, when I started looking into it, he called up and he's like, hey, my place is available the first, starting the first. And I'm like, well, let me look into it. He didn't know I was already looking into it, and figured out that the cheapest airfare was on the 4th. I hit him up and said, I'll be there on the 5th. I'm leaving the 4th. So it worked out this time. I got lucky, and it didn't cost me an arm and a leg for a place to stay. But that becomes the problem, is where do you stay? Because you just can't. Hotels, it's a tourist place, so hotels are outrageous.
Shout out to Clover in the chat. I'm smoking on some Block Party mixed up with some Original Z right now. What are you smoking on?
Me, I'm actually smoking on some Wedding Pie.
Oh shit, I haven't had no Wedding Pie in a minute.
Yeah, this was I found a bag in the refrigerator that had like 4 pucks in it.
Oh wow.
And
yeah, I've never had Wedding Pie rosin. The only Wedding Pie I've ever had that was good was from KK. I've had other Wedding Pie, but it wasn't as good.
This isn't bad. I mean, I don't know that I've had KK's Wedding Pie. I know that.
The flower.
Well, yeah.
Have you had the rosin?
I'm trying to remember. I'm sure I've dabbed it with them. I mean, you know, I don't know that. I mean, all right, you're gonna out me on the show. I'm not really into buying from my friends.
I can't lie, man. Like, it's been a while since I've had to buy weed, so shout out to my awesome caregiver, Michigan Turf Arms. But yeah, it's awesome having awesome caregivers out there still. That's another reason why everybody needs to go out and get your card.
That's the one thing that, I don't understand. People talk about quality, they bitch about dispensaries. You can grow your own. You can grow your own. You can grow your own and grow more. All you got to do is become a caregiver. And the adult use law allows you to grow 12 plants in your house. I get that. But you can grow 72 plants if you can handle it. And why not?
And people need to realize, like, when you're growing 72 plants, a lot of the time, if you're doing it for yourself, it's perpetual. You know what I mean? You got, so many that you're fucking got seedlings or, clones. You got some in veg, and then you got some in flowering, and it rotates out.
Right. And anybody can learn to grow. A lot of people don't have the ability
Prop 1 says not everyone can grow, though.
No, the point is, you may not have the ability to because of where you live, your living situation, whatever. And I understand that. But you got to know somebody that you could say, hey, let me turn you into a grower. I'll pay what it costs to build the grow. You just maintain it. You become the caregiver. I'll be the patient. Just, everybody knows somebody. And that's the thing, is that I used to know a ton of people that grew.
Yeah.
Now I can't tell you how many of those people gave up their ability to grow by going to work for one of these companies that won't let you have your.
I mean, when it comes to growing, there's a lot of. They even got those little tents if you're gonna fucking grow something. Like I knew a chick that lived in the riverfront.
Right.
Those fucking
apartments,
baller ass apartments. Yeah.
Right.
And she had a fucking tent in her spot.
Dude, I can remember guys. I mean, I had owned a grow shop at one time, and you'd pay attention to what your customers did. And I'd have guys that would come in and buy one light, and then they'd buy what basically equated to 4 to 6 plants. Why? Because under that 1,000-watt light, you weren't going to get any more than that. And that's all they were doing was like 4 plants. And, they didn't buy gallons of nutrients. They bought quarts, which I always laughed at. But that's what they were doing. Why? Because that's what they could do. And the cool thing is, and any grower will tell you this, the more you grow, the better you get. However, when you crop out that first crop, your dick will get hard. It's like the coolest thing that ever has happened to you. And now
I grew one plant one time in my backyard back before it was legal. And I actually had to chop it down early. It wasn't even done, but it was about to fucking frost, and
it was still the coolest thing ever, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, bro! I had my little cousin come over to help me trim and shit. It was,
but
it was a shit.
It's a learnable skill. It's not that difficult. Now, when we get into optimization, that's a whole different story. When you're buying lighting that has UV, controls and all kinds of stuff that nobody ever understood or really doesn't still get, but They realize that it's creating bigger yields or better plants, they go with it. But back in the day, I remember guys stealing streetlights, the lamps out of the streetlight in order to.
Bro. I knew a motherfucker that ran hydro out of, he made a fucking hydro setup out of gutters.
Aluminum gutters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Had it all, bro. I was like, what the fuck? And this is like back in the 90s, that right.
And the funny thing is, at the same time, there were guys selling PVC systems that were basically the same thing, just a gutter.
Yeah.
It was just a pipe that they drilled a hole in and you drop the bucket down with plant roots. Simple system, run to waste or recycle, whatever, it didn't matter. It's really about learning the basics. And once you understand the basics, you can customize your grow to whatever you can do or find money for.
I remember this fucking first, we used to call it kill, or the high end fucking top notch fucking weed, because it fucking kill you. You know, smoking that shit. Bro, to this day, man, I still haven't had shit from back then. It was almost like the incense that they burn at church. That fucking
frankincense.
Yeah, bro, and that shit was fucking phenomenal, man. I loved it, but I haven't had anything like that in years.
Oh, I remember my boy Doug, who eventually ended up going to some foreign country to have surgery, and because it was cheaper, and he got an infection. Doug had the 911. And this stuff, he had to keep, he was using mason jars before anybody else was.
Yeah.
It stunk so bad, you couldn't put it in anything but.
No. Yeah, you can't.
I mean,
I got kicked out of Westland before because I had a sack in my pocket that I should have left in the car. But bro, every store that I went into, they were just like, what is that? And this bag was sealed, double bag.
Yeah, some of that stuff is, and this is just stuff that people crossed and made up on their own. It wasn't anything fancy, When you see the list of all the crosses that it took to create the Jack Hare strain,
yeah,
it's like, all right, so all you got to know is how to breed, and anybody can breed anything to anything else and see what they come up with, and it's easy. I don't know why more people don't do it. I know they don't think they have the time. I'm watching some of these people pull in their outdoor crops, and I'm shocked that they have these big fenced in big backyards with 50 plants in them and shit. It's huge, and they're huge. They're not just plants. These are trees that are 10 feet tall, bushes that are 10 feet tall. And, that's how it should be. I mean, and manicured. That's the other thing, is that people, plucking leaves is like the worst job in the world, but it makes such a big difference in your plants.
Yeah.
Such a big difference.
Oh shit, man. Fucking Halloween's coming up, and I know back in the day when I was a kid growing up, Devil's Night was a big deal.
Yeah, I miss me some Devil's
Night. What was the craziest shit you ever seen on Devil's Night?
That I was aware of because I saw it with my own eye. I was there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, statute of limitations is up on this. I knew some guys that used to burn houses,
Oh, shit.
And they would go take out 3, 4, 5 at a time. They were ready to come down. It wasn't like they were out of their homes or nothing. But they'd start a block on fire.
No, yeah.
And I literally saw a guy walk up and roast marshmallows after lighting a fire in a house. And that was like the great, because it was a party. People used to go out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I worked.
Bro, as soon as I got my license and shit, my mom was like, yeah, why don't you go up to neighborhood city hall and volunteer and drive around? I was like, why the fuck would I do that?
Right.
They're like, oh, so, they give you a yellow light,
right,
and a fucking CB radio.
Right.
And I'm like, what? I was like, hell yeah, I'll go do that. I fucking went and did that shit. Fucking went and picked up all kinds of my friends. Fucking carload of fucking motherfuckers driving around, smoking out and shit.
So
not getting fucked with by the police because you got one of the yellow lights on it. Yeah, bro, it was the shit.
In the early 80s.
Do they even do that anymore?
No,
they don't even have to do it.
They don't have to do that anymore. Yeah. They have groups that do it, but they don't promote it like they used to with the radio, the CB clubs and all local community town halls and whatnot. But I worked in the early 80s. I volunteered for the Michigan Emergency Patrol. They were a group of people that used to collect all kinds of traffic information and put it out to the radio stations. And that's where the traffic reports came from. And I would work Devil's Night. And you could look out the window. And they were on the Fisher Building up in the top, way up in the.
Oh, no way.
And you could look out the window, look up Woodward, and see all these cars with yellow lights crossing block. As the blocks went up, there were yellow cars with yellow lights crossing Woodward. And some neighborhoods had better coverage than others. You could see fires all over the city. It was the wildest thing ever. And people, first of all, they don't understand the term Devil's Night. They don't know what it means.
No.
And they certainly don't know what it means to Detroiters that were around in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah. Shit was crazy, man.
Crazy. I mean, I saw guys.
No, like straight up, like the craziest shit. And like, I didn't actually see it, but it was on the news and everything. They dug up bodies. Because I lived right down the street from the cemetery. Woodmere Cemetery, and motherfuckers dug up 2 bodies and
they
fucking put them on the fucking fence, the barred fence.
Yeah. They won't admit it, but the Detroit Police Department pulls their officers off the street on certain holidays, certain days, at certain times.
Oh yeah.
So I'll use as an example, New Year's Eve. 11:30, 11:45, you will not see a police officer in a marked car on the streets of Detroit. They're all brought in. And they don't go out for regular runs. They only go out for major crime.
Yeah.
And it might be an hour before cars start going back out. But Devil's Night was one of those times when they wouldn't be on the street. It's crazy in Detroit, man. Crazy. Yeah, that guy roasting marshmallows off the house fire it's pretty tame, but it's not. It's like, that was ballsy. But yeah, I miss those Devil's Nights. I couldn't explain it.
There's one of the things was fucking, it was like a curfew. People ain't supposed to be out. And bro, I seen this fucking crackhead out there with a fucking baby stroller and shit. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing out? Blah, 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 blah. And like, the bitch didn't even have a baby in the baby stroller. It was just full of
shit. Yeah, you got to respect.
There ain't no baby in here.
You got to respect the homeless people for that move. The old use the baby stroller to carry all my stuff around.
Damn, Jared said he would go pumpkin smashing. That's fucked up, man. Fucking people's pumpkins up. Yeah.
Detroit would be a good place to do that.
No, yeah, you couldn't do that in the hood. Walk up on somebody's fucking house with a bat, you get shot.
Yeah. I remember driving up and down the street with my boys and seeing people just sitting on their porch.
Oh yeah,
just sitting there. Just like it was the middle of
fucking there's motherfuckers in the hood sitting on their porch with fucking guns. Like,
well,
have a fucking 12 gauge on their lap,
laying on the lap, right? Yeah. Devil's Night, man. And they started all this nonsense about bells that they wanted to replace.
Oh, I remember when they tried making it into Angels Night.
Angels Night, right? With
Angels Night
bells to represent angels, and
yeah,
it was like the most.
Don't shoot in the air,
right? Don't shoot your guns in the air. Well, to be honest, I've never understood shooting your guns in the air.
No.
Why you wouldn't put the round into the ground? It's beyond me. But you got to know what you're shooting at. So make sure you're not shooting at some electrical lines or gas lines underground. But other than that, you know, I never understood that. People been killed in Detroit.
Oh yeah,
from
falling bullets.
Falling bullets, yeah. Yeah. And ain't nothing like 4th of July in Detroit. Nothing.
No.
Nothing. And if your ears
like
good,
you'll hear guns in the burbs. Like,
yeah. Oh, now you will for sure. You'll hear them, and you'll know the difference between the explosions of the bottle rockets or whatever and the guns, but not like Detroit. Detroit, you would hear automatic weapons in Detroit, and cops wouldn't be out midnight, 4th of July. No police.
Yeah. I remember fucking working New Year's Eve at fucking I think it's still there. It's called River Rock. It's on like Franklin Street.
Yeah.
But like right down by the Renaissance Center. You can like look up at the Renaissance Center like when you get out of there.
Prop.
Yeah.
You gotta know what you're shooting into, bro. If you know your ground and there's no rocks on it, your bullet will stay buried.
Oh yeah. Don't ever shoot into the ground.
I mean,
I don't know.
I don't worry about that type of thing. I don't fire guns, so.
So Kansas lawmakers declined to recommend legalizing medical marijuana in 2025, instead saying they should wait to see how other states and feds' actions pan out.
You said Kansas, right?
Yeah.
Good. I hope they stay that way. Their people don't deserve weed. I mean, that's the same response that has been given by governmental units all over America, even in places where, like Michigan, where a ballot initiative changes the law. Now legislators and the local commissions and city councils have to respond, and they're all like, well, we're going to wait a minute and see how things happen. Michigan, they started with the moratoriums at the very beginning, remember? And some communities were like, no, we're out for now. And then they had to opt back in because, they opted out and they want that money because that's what it ends up being about. That tax dollar.
So how many states are actually like voting on weed?
In November?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
So it's, Florida, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Dakota. Massachusetts. Oh no, Massachusetts is are considering legislation related to legalization of psychedelics.
Right. Yeah, they already have weed, don't they?
Yep, yep. That's what I thought. But yeah, yeah, this big long video about Florida's legalization and shit.
Oh, that's crazy down there.
Yeah. But I mean, I I gotta agree with some of the shit that they're saying, man. Like talking about True Leaf putting $140 million into the initiative. None of the fucking amendment, like they're trying to put it into their constitution.
Right. Makes it harder to change.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like once that's voted in, the only way that you're gonna actively change anything about it is if you make an amendment to it. And that's even harder than fucking getting it into the Constitution.
Right.
So shit's crazy.
But that's got to tell you something. If True Leaf, which is, for those that may not know, they're the main dispensary in Florida. They are, I think, 120 stores, maybe more than that, just in Florida. If they're putting that kind of money into something, you got to know that the people that are against it probably have a point.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's coming from their governor too. Like,
right.
Check this shit. Oh, let me make sure I got the audio for it. There we go.
Care what people are doing with respect to weed. I don't think it's good. I would advise not, but it's like people make a lot of choices that I may not like. That's just the way, it kind of works. But that's not what this is. That's not what this amendment does. In fact, this amendment is not about freedom in two different respects. One is, it is true, they put in here that if it passes, you'll have a right to possess and smoke up to 3 ounces of marijuana, which is actually way more than California and way more than Colorado. It's about 100 joints that you would be able to do, and presumably, you could take it with you. So if you're on an elementary school campus, this is a constitutional right for you to have 3 ounces on you. I'm not sure that's really good, but here's the thing. You can possess and smoke
man, I don't.
But only if you buy it from these companies. You cannot grow your own.
That part.
That's the problem.
Not if this is about freedom, at least like your backyard and what you do, that would be the basic building block of freedom. They don't want you to do that because they want to force business relationship with their cartel. And what they do is they create.
I love how he said cartel. That's what it is, man.
Exactly.
A big weed cartel where these incumbent companies have these special privileges where you as a Floridian would not be able to grow your own. You would have to buy it from them. And so the rights that are in here are basically about a right to engage in commercial transactions with these companies who are sponsoring the amendment. That is not free market. That is not what freedom is. But it also undermines freedom in this respect, because I think freedom means you as a Floridian have a right to not be involved with marijuana if you don't want to. So amendment, they are giving themselves, the weed companies, total immunity from any civil liability. So this is their whole business. If they're acting in accordance with the section, as it relates to the acquiring, cultivating, processing, manufacturing, selling, and distributing marijuana products to adults shall not be subject to criminal or civil liability or sanctions under Florida law. There is no qualification to that. That is a total grant of immunity. What does that mean? If they sell you defective weed and you have a seizure, the process
Yeah,
is such a
let's
farce.
have a seizure from weed. Get the fuck out of here. Like I said, like some of the shit he's saying,
The
I
marijuana
totally.
on them, that would be proof as to them driving while high with lower prices. The black market gets bigger. That's what happened in Colorado. That's what happened in California. Bigger black markets today than before they did it. That is so predictable that that will happen in the state of Florida.
It's because the legitimate market sucks. So the black
Yeah.
market has to get bigger.
Yeah.
Got to go and do a little bit of digging. You got to do a little bit of research. And if you're not doing that, then obviously the default should be no, unless you really have a firm understanding of why this should be in the Constitution. There's nobody that can make a credible argument as to why, if you're going to, quote, legalize weed, that only the companies should be able to sell it and you shouldn't be able to grow it. That is a corporate carve-out, a corporate giveaway. No one can make an argument as to why they should be shielded from any civil liability for their business conduct. There's no other industry in the state of Florida that has total immunity from civil liability. And in fact, we've reeled in corporate welfare since I've been governor. Disney had a little fiefdom, and we reeled that back because that's not good government. So no one can make that argument, and nobody can make an argument that it would be good for Florida to have rampant public use like you see in New York. And
That's funny. That's funny. First of all, you notice he keeps calling it weed.
Yeah.
But he did, the law is specific to marijuana, but he's sliding back to calling it weed, which I don't know that I've ever heard a politician.
I mean, I still call it weed.
No, I call it weed too. I'm just saying I don't know that I've ever heard a politician do that.
I got called racist one time because I said it was marijuana. I was like, I didn't put it on my medical marijuana card.
First of all, those people don't know what they're talking about because they're making up stories about why the word is racist. Outside of Mexico, America, and Canada, you can't use that word when you're talking about weed because nobody knows what marijuana is. You go to Europe, Southeast Asia, all that.
Ganja,
it's not marijuana. You ask for hashish and then you ask for the flowers.
Yeah. Jamie Lowell in the building. What up, Jamie?
But
free to hop on if you want. It's called cannabis, guys.
Yeah, okay. Chill, man. Chill. I was just laughing about that with someone the other day because they've decided that that's the only word they can use. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to get specific, but there are other words in the American language that groups have taken back and made it their own. And by using all these bizarre names for cannabis, that's what we're doing. We're owning it. Doesn't change the fact of what the substance is. If anything, it takes you to your forefathers, and that's what they smoked. There's a great book called Really the Blues, which is all about Mesmero. And they use all these crazy 1930s terms for weed. And it's a hell of a book. But there's hundreds of them. So now I will admit to this. Corporate weed is called cannabis. So when I hear someone say the word cannabis, I assume they're part of the industry. Once Sinclair asked me a few years back, Sinclair says, so how come some of the people I know have changed what they call weed and only refer to it as cannabis? And I said, well, John, it's funny you ask, because the reality is that those people are kind of kowtowing to this concept that...
I started calling it cannabis too.
Well, I'm very specific to refer to it as anything but cannabis when I'm around a bunch of people who are calling it cannabis. Just to be different. Just like it's the black market. When you start calling it the legacy market, nobody knows what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah, no.
I mean, the legacy market down on 6 Mile, that's a whole different story. But if you don't refer to it properly, people won't know what you're talking about. Speaking of the legacy market, look who's here.
Oh, shit.
Yellow.
So, man, what you smoking on? And I agree with you, DeSantis is a chode. But,
he is a chode.
I mean, I had to agree with him on certain shit that he was saying.
Oh, okay. Overall,
Like,
he's a choke.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but you want him on your side if you can get him.
There's probably a case to be made for that. It is a reality that he's sitting in that position. So if you could get him to work on some issue that you care about, that'd be a good position.
Right. Or if he can get me into Mar-a-Lago.
I think you could just walk in there.
Yeah, right.
We have Meds has got a place in Key West.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's got like hemp products, but it's got all the hemp loopholes going on with THCA, etc. And Al says it's some good pot actually. And they have a beer permit too.
Well, it's
like
fees. Of course, they have a beer permit.
You can get one easily down there, if I understand. Like lots of
Yes.
different level, like one on the side, whatever they're doing. But it's the first one with the combination, I guess, down there. So it sounds kind of weird to me, but it's also pretty cool. He's having a fun time getting that thing up and running.
Yeah.
But that's another reason why Florida should just have like such a straightforward fucking.
Michigan Marijuana Company Skyman's equipment for sale in November auction.
Oh, it all got bought up.
Already?
Yeah, that auction, that was it the Skyman? Yeah.
Nah, a 2-day auction is scheduled for next month to sell the remaining equipment.
Right, the remaining equipment. But the wife of the guy that lost it bought back the company for $130 million, I think.
Robert Levy Associates and Solid Assets Solutions on Monday said in a news release that an online auction will be held November 12th and 13th for a wide range of marijuana cultivation, production, lab, and warehouse equipment.
Right. It was all the equipment in the buildings that they had to. They got candy, machinery, distillate equipment, centrifuges.
Some level.
Yeah, they are
because they've joined forces with other companies recently.
Right. Like I said, I had read something that the wife had bought up the company after they got demolished. And they're not, it's going to happen more and more to these companies that can't make their big payments.
Yeah. Well, this is the equipment that they're saying that they still have. Part of the assets.
I would argue most places.
Tropics LP is owned by an affiliate of Sunstream Bancorp, which is a joint venture involving another Canadian cannabis company, SNDL. So it's like all kind. Yeah, exactly. Like, they're just selling the shit to get with. Like,
well, and the sad part is that any of their equipment they're selling is most likely already outdated. Because if you were going to open a new place, you wouldn't do it with that equipment. You'd do it with newer equipment. Might only be a couple years.
Yeah.
But That's why it's stuff is up for auction. They couldn't unload it themselves.
Yeah, fuck Skymints. What were they before Skymints? Green Peak or some shit.
Green Peak.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They didn't get any better by changing their name.
The Washington's marijuana tracking system is unreliable, the auditor's report says. So Washington's legal cannabis marketplace is an industry employing more than 100,000 people, and the opportunities for illegal trade at any point in the process remain real. So it's been over a decade since Washington legalized recreational marijuana, but in the state, it still isn't able to have a reliable tracking cannabis production through processing. So basically, they're like fucking backdoor and shit and everything.
Well, first of all, my opinion, of course, would be I'm happy to hear they're backdooring things and that they're breaking the rules and getting away with it. But the reality is that it happens in every state. It's happening everywhere. And to think that it's not going to happen in your state when you make a new law, you just shows how little you really know. In Michigan, they got this silly camera thing where everything's under video, but nobody's worried about it because nobody's watching the video.
No. No, but they just go on and on about how people are getting caught up fucking bringing shit in and backdooring shit out.
Yep.
Like I said before on previous shows, man, like the black market just scratches the surface when it comes to illegal activity. Like at the corporate level, all these fucking corporate cannabis fucking companies, shit that they're fucking putting out as product is such trash. It's insane, man.
Well,
like they find 2 50-gallon buckets of an unknown substance. What was it being used for?
Right. And how come we haven't heard about what was going to be done to Virtus yet?
Nothing.
I mean, how are they going to get away with that? Matter of fact, that Caleb, the guy that we had on a couple weeks ago, whose show I did on Sunday, he asked me that question. He said, "So how do you feel about the fact that the guy that runs your CRA is a former cop?" I mean, that just fascinates me that we're allowing people who, what's their knowledge of cannabis? Oh, they were law enforcement? They destroyed people's lives because of it? Okay. Why are they in the industry at all? Working for the government or not? I mean, that was such a slap in the face when John's former sheriff was running that board. And then they had the other cop that was on that board who they chased off. That to me has always been ridiculous. But that's state government for you. It's what they do. Oh, no.
latest update on that shit was January 12th. And that was just saying that court claims judge on January 2nd dismissed 2 lawsuits linked to Michigan's enormous 64,000 pound, $220 million recall that impacted estimated 60%. What was that?
I'm not sure if you were looking at the Virtus stuff, but their countersuits were dismissed.
Yeah. But there's nothing about what's going to happen to them. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that hasn't been decided yet, and it's obviously continuously getting dragged out for some reason because.
And they're allowed to do business as normal. Just go. Man, this shit's crazy. I'm surprised people go to them, but I mean, I guess if they can bump up your numbers and smudge some fucking shit,
That's a bunch of incentives, like give some free. I mean, I don't know exactly what they do, I guess, as of late, but they usually give a lot of free rounds to people to get started. When things are really slim, that's really attractive, and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would question any product if it was tested by Virtus. No, I mean, I just wouldn't believe the results because I know who they are and what they've done. I wouldn't want their name on the packaging, and I've seen it on some of these metric tags, and I laugh because they sell a ton of that shit to people who have no clue.
It was on one of the bags at a networking thing I went to recently, so I didn't take it. Swag bag.
Yep. That's funny. Yes, but did you make it known why you didn't take it?
I did.
Good. That's important, I think, at least.
KK, what up, though? Yes, long here up here. What up?
Oh, you had asked about elections and stuff. I guess there's 3 Michigan cities that are going to take up weed proposals, pot-related ballot proposals.
Yeah.
Lathrop, Clawson, and
what was the first one?
Lathrop Village.
Oh, all right.
Clawson and Royal Oak Township.
Ain't that in near Southfield?
Yes. Yeah. It literally is on South Road. Just
that's what I thought. Echo. Oh man. Lathrop Village, and what were the other 2?
Clawson.
Where's Clawson's north, right?
It's north. It's next to Royal Oak. It's west of Royal Oak, south of Troy.
Oh, all right.
Great little city. But
So
they have a chart an amendment proposal, which
so it's recreational, of course, that they're voting on.
Yeah, they're talking about allowing recreational cannabis. They don't have any medical or recreational yet.
Yeah.
But
it would just skipping the whole medical and going straight to rec. Yeah.
It would allow for 2 stores, which in a city the size of Clawson is plenty. Only because 1 would be not enough. Well, you should have options, is my point. But the Royal Oak Township is has a proposal that would completely prohibit marijuana establishments.
Oh shit!
Yeah. Of course, Royal Oak Township doesn't have much to offer in the way of anything.
No.
And it's nowhere near Royal Oak, which is even worse. But
I mean, I could see Royal Oak having some dispos, but it wouldn't be.
No, but that's Royal Oak Township. That's south of Oak Park, north of 8 Mile. It borders 8 Mile.
Oh, all right.
Between like Schaefer and
yeah.
It's that little weird part of Oak Park that's not Oak Park. It's Royal Oak Township. So that, like
I was gonna say, does Royal Oak have dispos?
Royal Oak has dispos opening. Supposedly,
but not open yet.
Not open yet. I believe they've approved a few, maybe 3. But I could be wrong on that. But I remember someone talking about one opening up on Woodward and things like that. So they're coming.
Yeah. Because I know a couple dispos that opened up in Allen Park, but they were like, the longest they lasted was like 2-3 months because the city would shut them down. Like, who the fuck are you? Like, we don't allow that shit.
Lathrop has 2 pot-related ballot proposals. The first proposal, citizens would be voting on whether or not they would like to repeal a previous instituted law that prohibited cannabis dispensaries in the city. And in the second, with nearly identical language from the ballot initiative in Clawson, they'll vote on an amendment that would change their ordinance to authorize and allow cannabis business and establishments, an application process, and they would allow for 2 retail facilities and 2 safety compliance facilities, which I guess are labs. So which I'm not surprised we haven't heard much about that, because those are very, very small communities. What else did I have? I think this is the one I like. Yeah. Far fewer high schoolers are consuming cannabis.
Yeah, we talked about that a couple weeks ago, I think.
There was a study that was done. I think that's interesting, especially since the video you played of DeSantis, where he talks about, carrying 3 ounces, 3.5 ounces, whatever it is, of weed on a elementary school.
Yeah, at an elementary school.
What elementary school kid knows how to smoke weed?
What would it hurt anyway?
Yeah, right. And well, that's the problem with all these. There's no secret that hospitalizations are up when it comes to overdose, because these people eat their gummies, or they leave them out and their kids eat their gummies, or their kids steal them, or whatever happens. And they take them to school and spread them around. Whatever the deal is, they get these stories out there about these kids and adults being taken to the hospital. There are never any follow-up stories.
And then they were like, oh, they think that they were laced with fentanyl.
Right. there's never a follow-up story that says out of the 120 people that were admitted to the hospital within the last 3 months, 120 of them went home with no long.
Yeah.
They
but
never
did they die?
Right. There was 4 deaths because of, you call any hospital, they'll tell you how many drunk drivers were brought in and died, how many alcohol overdoses there were. Weed, all they got is intake. There's no negative on the outtake. I mean, it might have been a bad experience, but so was my first marriage. I mean, I don't get it. And those articles happen everywhere. Everywhere weed is legal.
Where was this? Who's the study by?
Oh, that one was I don't know, because I just pulled it off. It was on the normal site.
Oh.
And hold on.
I want to say, even when I talked about it a couple weeks ago, where it was just like, it was a study done by, I want to say it was University of Massachusetts or some shit.
Yeah.
Because they recently, well, everything's recent as far as cannabis goes, but the weed, man. Man, shout out to everybody in the chat still. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Man, I thought KK was going to join us this week, man. I sent him the link last week.
Wow. I like that.
What?
Oh, and I'm sorry. I got an email from the airline about picking my dinner.
Oh, shit.
And they'll either bring it to you all at once or bring it to you slowly. And I'm like, no, bring it to me all at once so I can sleep. Beef short rib. I think we'll go with that. Hold on, get back to that. Jamie, question for you, my friend. Talk around town about the break-in at the dispensary on Friday? You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
I'm not familiar with it.
All right. Cake House was broken into.
Cake House.
Yeah, 2115 South State Street. 2 unknown men broke.
Cake House. Yeah, I'm familiar with that. I've been in there. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
2 unknown men broke a glass front door and entered the business, stealing several items before fleeing the scene. No arrests have been made. Inside job, guaranteed.
Yeah, man, that sucks.
Well, yeah, I
usually much of value to grab.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Get a bunch of gummies or something.
Yeah, right. Who would think that kicking in a glass door is going to yield you anything? If that's the only protection they have, you would think everything's locked up in a vault somewhere that you're never going to.
no cash flying around, and there might be like, some products or something, but nothing of any great value, nothing worthy of taking the risk of breaking into a store.
Unreal.
Before I got on this highway, a cop came up alongside of me and looked in because I've got the lights on inside the car. It's like we see. I don't know what it didn't care. I guess
That's funny.
maybe they could tell. Oh, he's on podcast. So.
Yeah. Not sure how legal that is. But
So yeah, a record number of banks are now reporting that they are networking with state legal marijuana businesses amid increased pressure on Congress to enact a broader protection of financial institutions. So they're talking about 831 banks and credit unions are reporting that they're actively involved with marijuana companies.
again, I asked where the threat is. I don't believe they've ever been threatened. I believe use that as an excuse.
Oh man, getting a feedback. I'm gonna have to mute you, Jamie.
But yeah, I heard this.
I was already muted, man. I think, wasn't I? No, I'm
Oh
sorry.
no,
Okay.
it's all right. It's cool.
But yeah, that more silliness.
But yeah, back from 2014, the numbers went up steady. So 831 banks and credit unions. I remember people fucking like back in the day can get a fucking bank to take their money for shit.
Right.
So,
Rooms full of money because they
yeah.
deposit it.
Yep.
Banks would find out and end your account.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah.
I mean, I know
fucking
people
give you a cashier's check like, yeah, your money ain't good here.
good here. Which again, the federal government never threatened anybody. Nobody's ever shown us a notice or a issuance that if you deal with these people, will, you'll risk losing your license.
This is a story of a bank.
KK said he just had a crab boil without you.
Man, I wouldn't have a crab boil this late on a Monday night anyways. I'm on Medical Monday. What were you going to say, Jamie?
It's a bank in Florida that was making so much money off laundering cash that they retrofitted the windows to fit the boxes that the people were using to bring it in. So they really don't give a fuck if there's money to be made.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, Miami was built on cocaine, man. They're used to that shit down in Florida.
Right. Yeah, but that money never went in the bank, bro. I seen them cash rooms.
Just saying.
No, I know. I found an interesting story out of New Mexico that doesn't really apply here, but it could, because we're a border state, and
to
border.
Canada?
Yeah, well.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. Border
Border
Patrol has a lot more to do in Michigan now. Yeah.
Right. They now have access to
100 miles.
Right. And in places like New Mexico, the Border Patrol has these stations in the middle of nowhere near the border. And these cannabis companies were driving from point A to point B, and they'd have to drive by through these things. And for years, the government left them alone. 2024, they decided to start seizing cash and weed that went through there, even though these were licensed cannabis companies in New Mexico.
Yeah.
And even though the federal government has taken a hands-off approach on legal weed, the Border Patrol decided to
this shit is fucking crazy.
Seize
bro.
people's shit. And then, so now there's 8 New Mexico cannabis companies that are suing the Biden administration.
This is literally all of Michigan.
Whole state of Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Now, we don't have that yet. They haven't done that to us yet. But I'll tell you this, you can't go smoke on the river like you used to.
Look, they're all showing like little kids and shit, like all smiling, like, oh, a new border vision.
Yeah.
What?
There's 2 white people in that whole picture?
Yeah.
Everybody else came from somewhere else?
It's proud.
But yeah, Michigan, you know, it's against the law to do drunk driving checks in Michigan.
Look at that girl. She's like, I don't want to be here.
Right.
The little girl, like, yeah. Fuck
Michigan
Border
has
Patrol.
a law that
Fuck
keeps
Border Patrol.
roadblocks, but the feds could set them up anytime with their Border Patrol. But they stay out of Michigan.
So funding shortage for LED rebates leave cannabis lighting vendors on the hook. Damn. So this Minneapolis-based utility company XL Energy ran out of money to pay them. So I guess Arizona-based LED company has filed a $500,000 in unpaid rebates for lighting its shipped to clients before Excel suspended the program in July. So basically, the company's saying we don't got no money.
Right. We can't
pay those rebates. Sorry.
We can't honor our agreement. That's why I would recommend DLI, Dutch Lighting Incorporated, who make great lights. And they're good people. But I'm not surprised that there's companies playing games. I don't know if you seen it yet, but there's a organization with a big push, going to have some rallies and whatnot nationally to deschedule, not reschedule.
Oh yeah, that's dope.
So I'm just I'm in talks. I want to get involved with a group like that because I'm a
yeah, for sure.
So we'll get somebody on from the organization.
Yeah.
And
there's only one? I'm surprised.
Well, no, they're planning a rally at the DEA office in Virginia. shit like that. So
That's where headquarters is
for the DEA. Yeah, right outside of DC. In case you ever want to pay him a visit. Boy, I'd go in there stinking like weed.
Did Jamie say what he was smoking on?
It's called stuffed French toast, I think.
The name is good. Does it taste like French toast?
No, I mean it was okay, but no, I didn't get that feel from it.
No maple syrup aftertaste. Shout out to the people that come up with crazy names for their weed.
Man, I forget what it was. I want to say it was like Cinnabon or cinnamon roll or some shit. And it was just trash, man. Somebody brought it on the show. I want to say it was some cookie shit.
Yeah, but even that, you got to admit, back then, cookies was so much better than it is today.
Yeah, I've never had like true Cali. I mean, I heard that shit's fire.
I know it used to be. I haven't had any of it lately.
No, me neither.
But just into that craft cannabis, I guess. See, there I have to use the word cannabis because I don't know that craft weed or craft marijuana sounds as good as craft cannabis.
Yeah.
Of course, cannabis, like I said, that's an industry word. I don't know. James,
But you got to admit that it sounds better than marijuana.
I don't think
which was like, you know,
my question
is a
is
made up word to make it sound fucking.
Well, my question for Jamie is
Pick on the Mexicans.
right. Do you only call it cannabis in the retail shops?
Primarily.
I mean, if I walked in and said, "Hey, show me the best dope you got," would you
You would
point
know
to
what you're talking about.
would you point to one of your employees, or would you show me the best weed you have? I mean, in the head shop
Show you
business,
the cannabis that we have.
no, but in the head shop business back in the day, if you walked into a shop and said, "I'm here to buy a bong," they'd throw you out.
Right. I remember at one place in Birmingham, they had like a little list as
Of
you were
words.
walking in of how to say stuff. Yeah.
So when I ran Stairway to Heaven in Ann Arbor, I didn't care what you said. It's not my issue.
Yeah.
You have the right to say whatever you want. I know what I'm selling.
Oh, but enforcement was using the paraphernalia thing a lot in
Right.
some places. A place people were flipped out.
And they still got paraphernalia laws in some of these places. Now legalized weed. Which is why it's important to have your medical card, because in everything is a medical. A medical marijuana. That's the answer. But I miss those old days. It's like the fun's all gone now. Nobody looks at me funny when I walk in with a brightly colored weed shirt. Or stinking like weed. Worse than that, My kids come home from the grocery store and tell me, Dad, there was a guy in line that smelled like you do.
That's hilarious.
I'll never forget my daughter walking in the house, 3 years old, going, Daddy's home.
Incremental normalization.
Well, they never see me smoke. They just smell it in the house. Now, she did come into my office and see a bunch of tips in the ashtray and think they were cigarette butts and accuse me of smoking cigarettes. So, I mean, she went on like a rampage for 3 days talking about me smoking cigarettes. And all I told her was those were not cigarettes. And left it at that. But
so I guess, well, we talked about Florida earlier, but Trulieve Cannabis Corp last week donated another $28 million to the recreational marijuana legalization initiative.
That's just crazy.
Fuck Trulieve.
So so that means 141.9 million of the total of 149.7 million
came from them. Right.
Well, they have like 100 stores or something. You can see.
Right.
You know.
Oh yeah. I mean, they already fucking own Florida. Yeah.
Right. It's their return on their investment, I'm sure, is very good if they win. And that to me is what's so obvious about why people should be against it. Why the governor came out against it. Are you kidding? DeSantis is against stuff like, a weed thing.
I know.
It's just so simple, but
the whole fucking bringing weed on the school property. I don't know.
That got me, man.
Yeah.
That got me good because all I'm thinking is, I don't know.
I'm surprised. Like if I would have let it play in its entirety, he would have brought up fentanyl and all that shit. You know what I mean?
I mean, I don't know that I've carried 3.5 ounces, but I've had an ounce in my pocket when I went to pick my kids up from school. And this was back in the day before it was legal. Now it's legal, I wouldn't think twice about it. And what's that have to do with children?
I'm not bringing it for the kids.
No. And again, even if I was, where's the damage being done? Now I understand brain development and all that, but we're talking about one-time uses here that these people are afraid of.
I don't think there's any evidence. I mean, I know that I think it's probably fair to say that chronic use, like a lot of use during developmental times, would make somebody more prone to stuff like ADHD.
Yeah,
stuff like that. That's probably true, but like I don't think there's much evidence like it fucks up your brain. And certainly, if you need it medically, it's worth taking over a lot of other shit.
But they talk about
if an option.
They talk about these kids like these exposures
Well, it's used as an argument, but it's an emotional argument. There's no good. I don't think there's anything that demonstrates a causal relationship between brain development issues and kids using cannabis, particularly sparingly.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more fucking negative results from pharmaceuticals.
Oh yeah.
That they don't even mention,
I mean, the response that like Tanya's granddaughter gets, is worth using cannabis.
Yeah.
It's a positive result, ultimately. So.
Again, I'd really like to see the bodies associated with the fear mongering that they do. I don't want anybody to get hurt, but I'd really like them to prove their points and not be able to just throw it out there. Because they certainly made us prove a lot in order to get where we needed to go. you know. I mean, and that's why when people used to accuse us back in the day, oh, you're just trying to use medical to get your foot in the door, and everybody went, no, 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 it's, you know, this really helps people, and this is more important than anything else. It's like bullshit. We're trying to move this ball is so far forward that all the, you know, hate and negativity goes away from it. It should be treated like tomatoes, you know.
Yeah. Decriminalized.
Right.
Well, just like DeSantis was saying, oh, there hasn't been a great argument, you know, for this and all this kind of shit. Right. That's not the issue. The issue is there has not been a great argument against it.
Right.
We haven't been making them make it. We've just been we've been put on the defensive. Yet they've made the negative claim against it without any real basis, and that was admitted to by now. You know, the Nixon tapes, etc.
Right. No, I mean, again, we just have to. That's what got me involved is the hypocrisy. We just have to keep showing these people that what you're saying isn't true, and they have no real arguments against us. And I think the big example of that is when government figured it out is when law enforcement was told, okay, the rules have changed, and all because that company is doing something doesn't mean you can just go kick in their door and, you know, arrest everybody. And you need to make sure they're not licensed, or they are licensed. You got to leave them alone. I mean, law enforcement took the big hit on all this so far. They're still fear-mongering everywhere else. Even pointing out, like I said earlier, that hospitalizations are up. Of course they are. That's not harmful in any way. I guess it's a strain on the healthcare system.
And some of that data is similar to like what the Rocky Mountain report did, which is regurgitate information, which there could be a correlation, or cannabis is on a list of things when they come into the hospital, but there's no relationship to what they came into the hospital for. But they make it seem like there is. You know, that type of stuff's probably going on too with some of that. As in addition to somebody getting freaked out because they ate too much, you know, or something. Just going in.
No, it's bizarre. You can't point to anything else that is treated like marijuana or has ever been treated like marijuana. No other substance on the planet that I can think of. That should tell you everything right there, if you ask me. But I'm a simpleton.
And I was looking for that fucking. And here it is. Legalizing natural marijuana is the pathway to protect public health, not pretending synthetic THC products or hemp opted, you know, fucking just, they're saying that misleading market which frames synthetic THC as hemp products trick buyers into thinking they are purchasing something natural and safe.
Well, who's creating synthetic THC?
Well, we don't know that it's not safe, but it's called synthetic because of that process of taking CBD and putting it through the acid wash to molecularly change.
But that's
considered synthetic because of that.
Well, it's considered that, but is that really the definition of synthetic?
It's not like K2 or something like that, no. But it is by definition synthetic, I think.
I think that's so they can make it illegal. Because that's what their law is talking. That's what their law is. It's just like the Michigan State lab guy changed the rule, changed the opinion that if it wasn't clearly marijuana, that it was a not a synthetic, but a
Well, they didn't make the decision, but they went along with the prosecutor's method for wanting to fuck people over it.
Yeah, but didn't he write the letter that said that it was an analog because he couldn't identify it as marijuana, therefore it was an analog? And the law,
Yeah, they're
they went
saying
along with
change in federal law
It
has
went
led
along
to,
with that reason.
well, it says it's
Sorry.
led to the explosive of unregulated intoxicating products that the marketplace masquerades as hemp products. But they're saying it's synthetically converted THC,
no, I get it. I know.
blah blah blah, etc. Are lab created and do not exist naturally in large enough quantities for mass production yet.
Correct. Concentrate.
Yeah, or at all.
And I'm not saying that it's such a bad thing either. The problem is the process. The process is dangerous in that if you fuck up, you can hurt people.
Definitely.
If you don't fuck up, then you're producing a product that gets people high. I'm not against that. And it gets people high like marijuana does. Unlike a DMT pen, for instance, which is not the same as smoking.
Like down south, that's a lot of their shit is being sold. I know of a fucking rapper that I'm not even gonna mention because I don't approve his product, but I don't want to shit on the guy.
Right.
But he has a fucking pre-roll and the actual flower is hemp. He adds THCA to it. It's fucking hemp derived, blah blah blah. And
The THCA thing's different than the synthetic thing.
Yes. But that farm bill was a great piece of legislation.
People are shipping that fucking.
It's going to be changed.
Of course, it's going to be changed because they see what.
Yeah, they realize they're like, what they're doing, what?
And it's not going to be changed again. It's not going to be changed because they have evidence that it's dangerous. It could be dangerous. And they don't trust the weed people. And I mean, you know, harvesting chickens and being Purdue or one of those chicken companies, that could be dangerous. You can kill millions of people if you put out
Tyson, man.
Tyson, right? You put out bad sick chickens and you could be hurting people. But marijuana, they regulate like, you know, we're gonna damage people.
Yeah, except for some shit that actually could be dangerous, like the high concentrations of botanical terpenes returned to some of the products.
Right.
That could be in the dangerous levels, you know, depending on, you know, smoking and vaping it and stuff like that. So there's no like real oversight of that. There might be some in the future, but they care about all this other shit that really doesn't have that much of an effect on health. And
right. But I can tell you, I was shocked when I went into a gas station in outskirts of Ann Arbor, and there were 2 showcases full of what they called THC products. And I'm like, how are these people able to do this?
Yeah.
And that's exactly, they're using a workaround. They're calling it something it's not, so they don't have to worry.
No, they got that shit at smoke shops now.
Right.
They got fucking a whole area dedicated to.
Right. It's again, to me, it just shows you how harmless this plant really can be, even if you're growing it and doing it one way as opposed to another. I mean, and let me tell you, I've seen some hemp buds that looked awesome.
Yeah, they look awesome.
Oh.
But how did they smell?
They smelled like hemp.
They smelled like hay.
Hey, just right. That's what hemp smells like.
Yeah.
I mean, your brain is telling you it should smell like something.
I know.
But, you know, it doesn't. I mean, I've been in trade shows where they got these 55-gallon barrels filled up with it, and they got 5 or 6 different strains. And you walk up to one and you smell it, and it smells exactly the same as the other 5, the other 4, whatever. Because that's what they are. Now, when you look at the testing on this, it was pretty interesting because it was, high CBNs, high CBD, stuff that you're not used to getting in a regular strain of weed, let's say. So I get it, and I see the market for it. I just don't understand why anybody would. It's kind of like near beer. If you're gonna, it's like near beer. Remember near beer?
What's near? No.
Oh yeah. Beers that were like so low in alcohol content that it only tasted like beer, but
yeah. What's that fucking main brand that sells that shit? Oh, Duels.
Duels, yeah. But
that's the first thing I think about.
There's like a craft version of this stuff now. I get some sometimes.
Yeah, and I guess if you like the beer taste and you shouldn't be drinking, I guess it makes sense. But
man, I want to try that tequila shit that fucking Pony Boy is talking about, man. He was supposed to bring some. Yeah. But it's not tequila. It's not alcohol. It's THC.
Right. It just has that kick to it. Yeah. I just the hemp thing, I just think it's great. I don't see how there's anything bad about it.
I just don't like they're masquerading shit,
Well, that becomes the problem, right? But those are bad players, if you ask me.
No, yeah, for sure.
If they're calling it THCA, though, as just to be blatant about it, everybody should know it's just regular pot. But they're just calling it THCA because until it's heated, it meets the requirements for being hemp. Which is fine. It's just a fucking game.
Well, there's this place in Gatlinburg, I guess, where it was this massive store that sold all these CBD products, THCA products, all this shit that was technically legal, but really they were skirting around. And it was a tourist attraction. People from all over would stop by there. I always thought that was just crazy. Why would anybody go? And if you're into that, don't you know where to get weed back home? Come on now.
Right.
But who would have thought? But I do wonder on the hemp thing in Michigan, if there's more or less hemp being grown today than there was just after the Farm Bill passed. Because I know a lot of people that thought they were going to do real well in the hemp business and bought big pieces of land or had big pieces of land and decided they were going to be hemp farmers. And it just didn't pan out the way they thought it would, because there were warehouses full of this stuff and nobody was buying it because they didn't need it for anything.
Did you know Willie Nelson is in support of Kamala Harris? I didn't know that until now.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
He's not part of a cult. There's some well-intended, nice people that are in the cult, but they're in the fucking cult. It means they're not vetting information logically.
Oh. But you also have two different cults going on. You have the cult of personality and then the cult of politics, where people are going to vote Republican or Democrat because that's what they have always done, and that's what their parents did, and that's what their grandparents did, their great grandparents.
Yeah, but there are many coherent
No, I get it.
Republicans that say shit like, I don't agree with these policies of Kamala necessarily, but she's not destined to destroy our democracy. So I'm gonna stick with keeping that intact this round, and then hopefully they can rebuild the party thereafter.
I think it's interesting how that has become an ad on TV. That every time one of these guys says it in the media, it runs.
I've been getting so many fucking bullshit text messages. It's fucking insane, bro.
For the election?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're hitting them hard. I get them all the time.
I get them too. I get them from both sides too.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Shit's horrible.
What I always like. Like I'm a pothead. And you never hear from him.
Can only stand hearing your voice once.
Hmm?
You can,
Thanks.
he probably has his like on the Bluetooth. That's why it's echoing. But yeah, man. I want to remind everybody out there, if you don't already, go out and get it. If I recently just got my card redone. The Detroit Search Center. You hit them up, call or text 248-275-6707, or hit them up on social media, Detroit Search Center, or go to DetroitSearchCenter.com. Tell them we sent you. Medical Mondays, y'all. And remind everybody out there, save the date. What's the date? I want to say it's
22nd, 24th,
24th. 24th. Save the date now. It's a Sunday, 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. as usual. But yeah. And I have another give back event. If you know any of your friends out there that do vending, make sure you tell them to holler at Nug Abduction or JSH Enterprise. And I want to give a huge shout out to all of our sponsors. But I ain't bullshitting about getting your card. Who are some of the other people, Adam, that they can holler at?
Up north, you got Michael Dewey. West side of the state, you got Pure West and the Weedsters. Flint, you got GC3 and Vehicle City. And Pure West is on the west side of the state. I didn't mention that.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
I think that's everybody. Everybody knows somewhere to get your card, man. So stop making excuses. It's not even that much money usually. Especially just say Medical Mondays. Well, I don't know if you want to say medical. If you hit up Detroit Search Center,
definitely
say Medical Mondays. But yeah, go out and get your card, people. Huge shout out to all of our awesome sponsors. Huge shout out Native Made 313, Michigan Turf Farms, Nug Abduction Extracts, Tiki Man, SOB Labs, and Tree Street Packaging. Boom. Much love to everybody who tuned in and still tuned in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. And hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday, y'all.
Yeah. Peace.
Peace.